Hey guys, Prowl 1701, and today on Face Off we are going to be asking the question, what is the better Doctor Who story? Genesis of the Daleks or Heaven Sent? Or do you think they're both overrated? Or you don't care for either? I'm curious. I let the poll run on this for about a week actually, and with 154 votes, 66% said that Genesis of the Daleks was better. 27% said Heaven Sent, with the other 7% going with the third option, which I believe was they were both overrated. I'm going to agree with the majority here. I do think Genesis is the best episode of the two. They're both phenomenal episodes. I think Heaven Sent is Capaldi's best episode. It's my favorite episode, and Capaldi is just a tour de force in this. He is amazing. He's pretty much doing a one-man show for Heaven Sent, and he is amazing at it. The directing is amazing. The music is amazing. That Shepherd's Boy theme I have on my iTunes, it's a phenomenal piece of music. But Genesis is Genesis. And I think for a lot of Doctor Who fans out there, that doesn't require any explanation. I think that sums it up for a lot of people. Genesis is just in a whole another league of Doctor Who stories. It is essential Doctor Who viewing, which I would argue both of them are essential Doctor Who viewing. They're both masterpieces of Doctor Who, and every Doctor Who fan should watch them. But Genesis is just so iconic and so good. It's easily my favorite portrayal of Davros, the best story he's ever been in, and the best performance of his character. Michael Webster is just phenomenal in that role. Every time the Fourth Doctor and Davros interact in this story, it's just gold. Gold. Doctor Who gold. Tom Baker is phenomenal in this story, which he usually is, but he is phenomenal here. And I'm big fans of Sarah and Harry, so I like them having their own things to do. I like Harry with the Doctor, with them two together. I like Sarah kind of off doing her own thing for a bit. I enjoy all of that. I like seeing that the whole, Daleks were the bad guys, Thals were the good guys. It's not quite so black and white when you actually get into it, that it's more of a gray area. There are good and bad Thals, there are good and bad Khalids. Both of them kind of want peace, but you got a few pricks on both sides that don't, which make problems. The guy playing Niter in it is just phenomenal. I know him from other stuff. I believe he is also in Doctor Who and the Silurians and a couple other stories. He is great as Niter in this, and his devotion to Davros is so well devoted. I was going to say fanatic, but that's not the right word. It's very devoted, though. I mean, he just firmly believes in what Davros is doing, and the allegories to certain German World War II people is never clearer about the Daleks than right here. Yes, this is what we're trying to symbolize. These creatures are, an allegory for. It's very obvious with the uniforms and the way they move, the way Niter talks. I don't want to say fanatic. Let's just say fanatic. Devotion to his leader. Some people might argue Genesis drags a little in the middle. I disagree. Plus, there's always the omnibus version if you prefer that. But I think it's well pasted. It's 6 parts. I love everything going on in it. And then looking back at it retroactively, this really could be the seeds of where you see the Time War getting planted. Because this is really the first time I think the Time Lords themselves really step in to try to do something about the Daleks. They're the ones who send the Doctor there because they could see a day in the future when even the Time Lords would be threatened by the Daleks. So there's a lot of that funneling into this, which I can see. Of course, his "Do I Have the Right" speech is phenomenal. It's a great speech. And the fact that he doesn't actually decide, because he gets interrupted before he has to decide, with one of the Khalids thinking they've got the situation resolved. And he even thanks him. Gorman? Is that his name, Gorman? I forget his name. But he even thanks him, you have no idea how grateful I am that he doesn't have to make that choice. You'll never know how grateful I am. I forget what it is he actually says. But he's very happy he doesn't have to make that choice, because that's such a hard choice to make. That whole scene is just phenomenal. So while both stories are phenomenal, I do think Genesis is just the better story, and definitely the more important story of the two. It establishes just so much. While it might not be the best Dalek story out there, since the Daleks aren't in it as much, it's definitely the best Davros story. It's still one of the best Dalek stories, I'd argue. Even though the Daleks aren't in it as much as you would think if you'd never seen it, since it is more about their origins. They really show at the end. And then watching how Davros gets his at the end is just phenomenal. There's such a part of me, as much as I love other Davros stories, that wishes Davros had never come back. That he had lived just long enough to realize the horror of what he had done and what he created, and had just enough time to regret it, and then boom, gone. I kind of wish, there's a part of me that wishes they'd stuck with that, even though we've had more great Davros stuff since. So, I'm agreeing with the 66% that voted for Genesis between the two. I would like to know what you think if you haven't voted on that. Which story do you prefer and why? Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you like what I do and would like to support what I do. There's a link to that down in the description as well. I want to give a special shout out to two of my top tier patrons, the Fifth Doctor and Stephen Crane. I appreciate their continued support, just as I appreciate the support of all of my patrons. I also have a P.O. box. If there's anything Doctor Who related, sci-fi related, or anything you want me to look at, you can send that to me via my P.O. box, which is down in the description below. A link to my Amazon wish list with some stuff I'm interested in is down there as well. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.